Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me again today. Another great day to be alive here in South Alabama for me, and I hope the same for wherever you are. I hope if you're in other parts of the country or in other countries, you're starting to get a little bit of cool weather. If that's what you want. Some people, heck, there's a whole nother hemisphere that is just getting ready to go into warmer weather. So anyhow, it's hot here, and I am ready for a little bit of fall-like weather. But today we're going to talk about raw food diet weight loss reality and misconceptions. Guys, I do videos every day, so if you haven't already done it, please go down there and hit that subscribe button now. And then be sure you click on that little bell and check send notifications so you'll know when a new video comes out and you'll stay subscribed to the channel. This isn't going to be a shocker too much today, that I'm just going to stick to the basics on this lifestyle. This lifestyle is as easy as it can be, and we just don't need to muck it up by making it so complicated. And I don't know, there's just something about the mind, the human mind, and I find myself doing this in other areas, that we just tend to think if something's a little bit more complicated, or if there's a program, or that it tends to work better. But that's what I love about this lifestyle, is that it's just so simple. And that's what I've embraced from the very beginning, is the simplest form of it. And a lot of people just don't want to wrap themselves in the truth when it comes to weight loss. One of the biggest things is everybody wants to be an exception. And a lot of these things, if you watch my videos, you're going to realize I just repeat myself over and over and over, because I think that's really all we need, are those basics. And there's a lot of intelligent people that just don't want to see the truth, or actually they hear all this talk. There's so much talk out there of exceptions to things and reasons why people can't lose weight, that it gets in their head sometime, and then people start kind of thinking like, okay, well, maybe that's the reason I'm not losing weight. I really firmly believe that most of the times it's just a simple correction, and that's why I'm saying you shouldn't even be asking questions. You shouldn't even be having a conversation if you have struggled with losing weight, if that's what you want to do, is lose weight, and you're not writing things down. I can't stress this enough. I say it over and over, and it's kind of like, do what I say, not what I do. I didn't have a problem with the weight issue, so I don't write things down. I never have really written things down, but I'm a big proponent of keeping a food journal for people that are new to this lifestyle. And I'm a big proponent for people keeping a food journal if you've been struggling on this lifestyle, because it's the most direct way of going in and troubleshooting, correcting what you're doing. And as you ask questions to people, maybe as you even get coaching or what have you, have discussions, you can have a much more intelligent discussion, and you can actually give other people more information to help you if you write everything down. I'm talking about amounts exactly, and as much detail as possible, what you're putting into your body, because most of the time you can go back through there. I'm going to just swear to you that 99% of the time you could go back through that food journal if you're not getting the results that you want, and somebody could probably look through it and say, well, it's because of this, and this. Look, as much as we don't want to, as much as it's kind of cool to say throw away the scale, don't count your calories, and I don't count my calories, I more or less just have an idea of how calories translate to volume of food. So in a way, I'm counting my calories, but I don't count my calories. And I could manipulate just by that, and I'm not saying when you're looking to lose weight, you want to restrict your calories, but there is sort of a number, there is sort of an amount of food that will keep you at a certain body weight. And this takes into account, your activity level. And there are exceptions, but there's not that many exceptions out there. I've mentioned this a number of times before. And I'm going to actually give a bigger margin of error. If there's 100 people out there telling me they want to lose weight and they can't lose weight, there's probably a reason there's probably a reason other than some sort of hormones, thyroid, physical reason that 90 of those people can't lose weight. There may be 10%. I think that's a large number, but I'm giving that as a buffer kind of. There may be 10% of people that are saying, okay, I can't lose weight, that might have something going on in their body, whether it's, you know, hormone issues or thyroid or what have you, that's actually preventing them from losing weight. But I would say that the other 90%, it's something that they're missing in there, something they're not paying attention to. It's something they would see if they were actually writing down everything they take in. Because there's a certain amount of calories that we need, like I say, based on our size, sometimes our gender, and our activity level that, you know, is meant, that's the number that's meant to sustain us. Now, if we're going over this amount, we're gaining weight. If we're going under this amount, we're losing weight. And I know it was not, especially when the whole Raw to 4 thing came around and everybody was just like, ooh, let the dogs out. You can eat everything you want and not gain weight. Well, it's sort of true and it's sort of not, because on this, you know, we can eat a lot of food. The food we eat, even people sometimes that were eating cooked food, the carbs, the plant-based food is not as calorically dense as food on a standard American diet. So we can eat a lot of food, and we mostly can, with me leaving out, you know, a lot of fat, eating just, you know, the amount of fat I need. If I'm not eating a lot of fat and I'm not just having a bunch of junk throwaway calories in there, I pretty much can eat as much as I want, because my body, I can't physically consume just fruit enough to put on weight if there's not other things in there. So like I say, don't be demonizing the fruit, don't be demonizing the good thing in your diet. It's probably some of the, you know, the calories that aren't so needed. And a lot of times people aren't sure what they're taking in. So yeah, I don't do chronometer either. I'm telling you a lot of things I don't do that I suggest doing. But if you really don't understand calories, if you don't understand the volume of food you're taking in, use that. Because a lot of times people are just simply taking in way more calories than they thought they were taking in. A lot of times people are taking in way more fat than they thought they were taking in. So once again, at the peril of repeating myself over and over. See, if you're writing that stuff down, and if you're writing it down accurately and with detail, you can easily find somebody that could troubleshoot that for you, that could go in and say, okay, well, let's see, this is your size, this is your weight, this is your activity level, this is your age maybe, because yes, our metabolism does tend to slow down a little bit as we age, although mine doesn't seem to be doing it too much. And they factor all those things in, and they see what you are actually consuming, and probably it's just as easy as saying, yeah, you're just eating, you know, you're eating more fat than you realize you're eating. With the nuts, that's why, you know, I kind of tend to talk about the nuts a lot when I'm talking about fat. Not because there's anything inherently wrong with nuts, not that there's anything bad about eating fat. We need a healthy amount of fat, but I just feel like, you know, it's easy for the nuts to get away from you. It's easy to forget, especially if you're not portioning them out. You know, how many did you actually eat? And the calories really add up. The calories and the fat add up so fast on those nuts. And you can sit down and do it. I don't really have a taste just to sit down and eat nuts like I used to. That used to be a little treat I would do every once in a while. But you could sit back when I could do that. I sit down and eat some cashews, eat some almonds or whatever, and then later on I would start adding, and I'd be like, oh wow, that was a lot of calories and a lot of fat in one sitting. Now, I didn't give myself a hard time on that, and it wasn't any big deal, because like I say, every once in a while it would just be, I don't know, a Saturday night. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to splurge a little bit, do something I don't normally do. It was like some people will eat dessert that don't normally eat dessert. And that just naturally kind of fell away for me, where I just didn't have the taste for that anymore. And probably the last few times I did it, didn't eat near all that many nuts, because, I don't know, just too much nuts, too much of the fat stuff just kind of gives me this like bloated feeling, kind of just lethargy. But they can get away from you. And fat in general, you know, if you're mixing a lot of fat in recipes and you're not paying close attention, that fat can get away from you. So it's really, it's always going to be about the basics. There's no tricks out there. There's nothing new out there. Everything that's ever going to be said on this raw food diet, on this subject of weight loss, on this raw food diet, has already been said. And it's just about, sometimes that's not the sexiest way of doing it in the world, and sometimes it doesn't seem like you're doing something, you're actually doing something if you're not following a program. But I mean, it's worked for me. I don't know, maybe I'm a freak, or maybe it's just because, you know, I do my own thing. I'm by myself all the time. You know, I just kind of keep the kind of food I won't eat around the house. But all of this, the simplest version of this lifestyle has worked for me. And I just know that if it wasn't a simple lifestyle and it did take all this work to do it, that it probably wouldn't have worked for me. So just, you know, adopt a simple way of eating a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. I try to keep the numbers about 80-10-10. Now, when I say use the term 80-10-10, I'm not a proper 80-10-10 person that follows all the tenets of that particular book by Doug Graham, but I take a lot from there. I do like the numbers there, and it's kind of, I like that 80-10-10. It's just a basic. I'm not saying it's got to be exact, but the less we complicate things and the more we really get in tune with our body, which has been my whole journey this past 6+ years, is just how in tune I've gotten with my body, how well I can read my body, how observant I am to, you know, to any subtle change and any change in how I feel and what have you. And when we really tune into our body and we really pay attention to our body, it becomes more of a, oh, I don't want to get too out there with some sort of woo-woo type stuff, but it becomes more of a inner journey. And when it becomes that inner journey, it's easier to get in sync with our body than when it's something that's more from outside our body, like where we're, you know, like just really systematically following a program, or we have this set of rules, or we have, you know, it becomes complicated. The more, I don't know. Like some people like complicated. The more complicated for me, the less chance I'm going to do it. So with the weight loss, with health, with your skin, with detox, with digestion, whatever, stick to the basics. It's not going to work for everybody, because I will say there are exceptions out there. There's people that have things going on in their body maybe that have to be healed first, and that's above my pay grade. But I'm just that guy that's just going to always say, try the simple first. If for some reason you're an exception or you have issues in your body, well, then you'll figure that out and you'll work it out later. But go for the basics first. Anyhow, I'm just starting to ramble. Hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.